Hi, I'm Krista West of Embroidery, and this is another FlossTube. Last month, we did a field trip for the FlossTube, and I kind of walked around my house and how I use different textiles in my house and how I use some of the Avlia designs. And I thought it would be really fun to do that again this FlossTube, but to focus primarily on the dining room. So in today's FlossTube, I am going to actually show you all the new stuff. Oh my word, lots of new stuff. And I'm then going to give you some ideas for using embroideries and different props or beautiful items to create a tableau on your dining room table. So before I get started, I want to tell you where to find me. You can see all of my work at www.avleaembroidery.life. Remember, it's .life because .com was taken and it was too expensive. Okay, so you can also follow me on Instagram at kristamwest, and that's Krista with a K. And you've clearly found me on YouTube, and you can see a lot of my videos here. I tend to release one FlossTube every month and just show what I'm working on. And I try to like add some sort of extra little fun topic onto it. Today it'll be the table runners. But before I begin, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watching, everyone who's following. I just can't tell you how excited I am that so many people are discovering traditional Mediterranean folk embroidery. This is a lifelong dream of mine, and I'm just so excited to be a part of it and to share these designs and to watch all of you share them with other people. People are starting to send me photos and tagging me on Instagram, and I love it. I just love seeing it all. So I'm going to launch it and show you what's new. Now, in the last video, I talked about doing releases every other month. Okay, you know what? I scrapped that idea. I just decided that when things are ready, we're going to release them. It's just a little easier. That way we don't have a whole glut of things coming out every 2 months. And sometimes I'm in like a really, really creative phase and I've got a lot to release. And sometimes like I may go a month or so and I may not be as, have as much ready to go, usually because I'm working on bigger designs. So just watch for the emails and check the Instagram. I'll just let everybody know that way when things are ready. And so recently released was and I apologize for the light. I know it's really bright in here, but I just thought it was so sunny and pretty today. We needed to be upstairs and out of the workshop. So first thing up is we have our fabulous new, oh, actually you can kind of see through it actually with the light. That's really cool. This is the BitKit Roman Mosaic. This is a new design. Let's see if I can get closer so you can see it. And it's based on kind of a tile design. And it's my very first BitKit done in greens. This is done in DMC 730 dark olive green, 733 medium olive green, and then a little tiny highlight of blue. I think it's an 806 blue, just to kind of set things off. And for those of you who have not discovered my BitKits, they're just that. They're just a little bit. They're a little bitty kit. They're about half the size of a normal embroidery kit. They're just a great way to try out some of these designs without having to commit to a really, really large piece. I've got lots of them and I keep adding to them because again, they're just fun little things. You can take them on trips, you can take them to travel, you can give them as gifts. They're just fun. And they create like these little table mats that are just like little small pieces. You could even though like turn these into like little miniature wall hangings, or you could put them on your table, or I usually keep one on my desk and like have a little piece of flowers on it, that kind of a thing. So that's the new BitKit Roman Mosaic. The next size up kit is one of our standard kits, and this is the new Tansy design. Now, this one, actually the color palette, oh, I'm just so in love with the color palette. And I realize that with the light in here, it's a little tough to see very well. I'm going to see if I can get this a little closer to the camera and you can see it. There we go. This is a really neat design because it utilizes back stitches. So this is not just cross stitches, this is back stitches. So the little flowers are created by back stitches. Great design, great colorway. I have this actually currently in my living room with like a little cactus on it. Very, very cute. So this is a great new kit. It's called Tansy. Now, I'm going to start putting things out of the way as I'm working. Okay. Also up is our new Thessaly Floral Hoop Kit. Finally, another hoop kit. I'm really excited about this. Let's see if the light. Okay, this is such a great hoop kit. Um, it's based off of a tray, a brass tray that I found in Thessaloniki on one of my trips to Greece a few years ago. And I hung the brass tray on my wall and I look at it and I'm like, I love that design. It's just such a beautiful floral design. So I adapted it as an embroidery design. This kit is standard embroidery hoop kit. It comes with the fabric stamped with the design with archival ink, which means you can actually wash it if need be. I mean, I would still recommend machine wash cold delicate, but that way if you wanted to make it into a pillow cover or on a tote bag or something that you want to be washable, you totally can without any fear of the design like bleeding through or something. This one has a lot of stitches. This has by far the most amount of stitch variety of any of my hoop kits. I don't know, it just felt like Stitchapalooza when I was working on it. It was like, oh, let's add this stitch, and let's add this stitch, and let's add this stitch. So it has Pekingese backstitch, Romanian couching, seed stitch fill, chain stitch, Byzantine fishbone, sometimes known as flat stitch, and satin stitch, and French knots, and lots of color. And when I was working on this a couple of floss tubes ago, and I asked people, what color should the little flowers be in the middle? Half of you said blue, and half of you said burgundy. So when I put the floss cones out, they suddenly just like talk to each other. So I used both of them. So like, yay, everybody, good job. So that's the Thessaly Floral Hoop Kit. That's just now released on the website. Very exciting. Okay, so oh, I know what else is new, is the Anafi Diamanti is now finally available. I know I've been showing this in a lot of different floss tubes, but this is the Anafi Diamanti design. It is stunning. It's based off of a historic design, has these just fabulous interlocking squares, and a really happy and yet very versatile color palette. When I first picked this color palette, I fell in love with the floss and I wanted something that kind of echoed the original embroidery that's from Greece, from one of the Greek islands. But I was a little concerned, like, was it going to be too pastel-y? Like, was it going to look weird in my house? And the answer is absolutely not. I have now moved this around to like 3 different rooms in my house and it looks awesome everywhere. And I'm going to use this in a minute to show you about table runners. Now, let's see, what else is up? That's that. Oh, those of you who've asked about blue Larkspur, the one that I showed in the last floss tube, we are putting the finishing touches on the pattern, and I think the kits will be ready like in just a couple of days, maybe even the end of the week. So the blue Larkspur border was the one that I showed in the hall table in the last floss tube in the upstairs hallway. It's just a great design, really beautiful. So that'll be ready really soon. Now, here's what I have in process. So let's talk about what I have in process, because that's always fun. Probably my favorite thing I'm working on right now, well, actually I have 2 favorites, but right now I'm working on this really beautiful design for a pillow. It could actually be a pillow or a table runner. I'm going to actually turn it into a pillow, but it is from a bridal shawl design from the Corinthos area of Greece. And I just fell in love with it. It's got this very strong central design of like, it's almost a cross design, like it's like an X and cross design, which is very common in folk embroidery. But then it has this really unique use of back stitches. Part of the design is outlined in black and part of the design is not. And it creates this really interesting energy. Let me see if I can get a little closer. Okay, there we go. If I set it against myself, then you can see it. So if I get closer, there are these really cool little X's that are made with back stitches, but they end up looking like larger black cross stitches. They're really cool. And then of course it has this little, I don't know, this little kind of like floret design here that you see in a lot of historic embroideries. And I always just, I don't know, I fall for it. I just love it. It's similar to the design in Byzantine meander, but a little bit more geometric and a little smaller. And it's like outlined, and then the red is outlined, but then other parts of this are left unoutlined. And it's got this really cool kind of diamond multicolored border that goes across. Loving this. I'm actually just setting up to work. This border will be worked down here too. It'll be mirrored. It's mirrored and worked the same way. So this is going to turn into a really, really beautiful large cushion cover because a number of you have asked for more cushion covers. And I've done a lot of smaller kits over the last year, just as we started to kind of add more to the website. And I am definitely heading into a phase of doing some larger designs again, mainly because that's what I like to stitch. And so I'm really going with like what I love to stitch. And I actually have some sample stitchers now, which is like amazing. So I have some sample stitchers now that are helping me with some of the other designs so that I can focus on doing the really big, more intricate ones. But this one actually isn't even like that bad. I think it's like 13,000 stitches, including the back stitches. So it's really not that bad. I've been working on it for about a month. I mean, I stitch fast, but still, and I devote a lot of time each day to stitching. But still, it's a very doable design. And I'm even thinking like, wow, now that I'm holding this up and looking at this, could you see this is like the most glorious runner, table runner? Wowza. Okay, so that's going to be the Corinthian Bridal Shawl design. I'm not sure when this will release. Probably September by the time I get this done. Okay, so that's that one. That's what I have in process. Let's see. I actually have so much new design work coming down the pike. Wow, I finally edited my schedule to give myself dedicated design time every week. And that was a really good decision. Before I was fitted in where I could, designing on weekends, and I just decided I enjoy it so much, and I wanted to be doing it regularly. And so I made it a part of my regular schedule, and it just helps because it's creating momentum for me, and that's been really great. So I have really fun things coming down. Oh my gosh, the next year is just going to be so much fun. I've got some Latvian things. I've got some historic Greek folk embroidery things. I'm even dabbling with some like Romanian things. So one of the next things coming up too, and this probably won't come up for a little while because we just released the Thessaly Floral Hoop Kit. But the next hoop kit is one I've wanted to do for a really long time. It's been on my list for almost a year, but it was a matter of finessing the design because the design is so tricky. And it is actually a Byzantine, okay, just excuse my fabric. It's very, very hard to see right now, and it's very wrinkly. But what it is, and it's going to be really hard to see from here. You can kind of just see a portion of it. It is a Byzantine Griffin from a 13th century silk fragment that features griffins and birds and lions. It's a beautiful piece of silk that was most likely used at the court in the Byzantine Empire. Very, very beautiful. And each one of the designs in the fabric is in these really gorgeous rondelles. Rondelle is just a fancy art history word for a circle. So these rondelles are stacked across the fabric, and then they rotate the birds, the lions, and the griffins. And I thought the griffins were so beautiful. And I've had the stamp made for a couple of months, and I stamped it on the fabric, and I just was like, no, it's not working. So I laid it aside and I just kind of let it sit there and percolate for a bit. And then I was moving around bolts of fabric. I'm like, this is how this works. It's so crazy. But I was moving around bolts of fabric and I suddenly saw I had forgotten that my last trip to New York, I had bought some of this really cool metallicized linen. See if I can get up close enough. Well, it's kind of hard for you to see it with the light because it's so bright in here today. But it's a linen that's got like a metallicized layer over it. It's really cool because, okay, some metallicized fabric just looks cheap, but this does not. It looks really cool. And when I stamped the design, because of that metallic feature, the design is like crisp, so crisp. So I'm actually working the griffins in a single thread of black floss, and then it's got these chunky kind of almost jewel shapes around it that I'll be working in other colors. So, and I think I'm going to even try mixing in a little bit of metallic floss on this kit. Should be really, really fun. So that one's going to be coming in a while, probably in the fall sometime, because it's got kind of a fallish feel. Okay, then let's see, what else is new? Oh, new legacy linen at the website. I mean, it isn't like I'm the only person carrying this, but if you like to shop at the Avlea website, I have added legacy linen 30 count. It's the 30 count, which tends to be my favorite. And I have it in 3 new colors. The first is Swan Feather, which is just a very good classic white. Excellent when you want just a white. Great for blue and white work. Great for when you want that kind of crisp blue against white look. It's also great for those of you who like to stitch Posca basket covers. That's an Eastern Orthodox tradition where you have a white and usually white and sometimes mostly red cover that goes over your Easter basket for your family. So the swan feather is great for that. I actually have a friend of mine is sample stitching next year's Posca basket cover right now, so that hopefully we can release the design in the fall. It is, dare I say, it might be my best one yet. It's awesome. I'm super excited about it. Lots of little outline back stitches, outline stitches, mixed with cross stitch. Very delicate, very beautiful. Really love it. Little 8-pointed stars in the border. Very nice. So swan feather, great classic white. The next one up is Mariner's Map. This is a little darker than the Victoria Sponge Cake, and there are photos at the website. I am personally loving this. I'm actually getting ready to stitch another design once I'm done with the bridal shawl design. I'll be stitching on this, and I really like it. It's a very good warm ivory color without feeling too brown. You know, a lot of the ivories in a cruise can get a little bit brown, and sometimes you want that, okay? But sometimes you don't. So this is a really good, if you want something like Victoria Sponge Cake, but just a smidge darker, it almost has the look of like tea-dyed cloth. I really like the tone of this one. And then this last one is Honey Glaze. And it has a tiny bit of like a pink tint to it. It's actually not a tiny bit. It almost is a pink fabric. But I don't know. It just spoke to me. It's funny. You know why it spoke to me now that I'm standing here? It's actually almost exactly the color of the walls in my dining room. And I love, it's a classic oyster beige. Traditionally, this color, it's called a red tinted beige, is called oyster beige. I don't know where the name comes from, but it's a color I fell in love with in this house and kind of got introduced to in this house because it was a very popular shade in the 1920s. And when I was doing research to figure out what were the best colors to put in this house, this was like one of the clear favorites from the 1920s. So I decided to get it in fabric, and I'm feeling the love with working. My new color, oh my gosh, my new crush, is DMC's, it's 3857 Rosewood. I love this floss. And so I'm really thinking about doing a design that's this floss. I have this fabulous little rosette design that I've been just dying to do. And I think I'm going to do it with this floss. And it's a single color design. This floss on the honey glaze. So very much like in the red family, but without being red, you know, like in your face red. It's just this like muted, lovely rosewood. Rosewood kind of just says it all with this floss color. And so I'm just loving this floss color. I just got it on my latest DMC shipment. I kind of splurged, got some new colors. So this one's great. Now, the other two new colors that I got are first the 502. I think this is Celadon. I love this one. It's just a really lovely kind of almost ashy green. So I can see using this a lot. Very nice. But probably one of my almost all-time ever favorite colors I got is the 926. I've been waiting 6 months for this. The last time I ordered from DMC, they didn't have it. I have long been a fan of the 924 gray green very dark. Those of you who bought our kits know that, boy, does Krista like that blue. It's in Aegean Octagon, and it's in Pelopoli, and it's in all the Grecian urn kits. It's like in kind of everything, because I love that kind of green gray tone to the blue. It looks so awesome. And I've always wanted to get the mid-range tone of it. I got it. I am in love. I'm using it actually in the Corinthian Bridal Shawl design. I'm already like, you know, thinking of new things I can use it for. I just feel like this is such a versatile color because it goes with red. It doesn't just scream blue. It's much more of it's a wonderful saturated color, of course, but I feel like it's a much more flexible color. That's the best word. I was going to say neutral. It's not neutral at all because it's this lovely, lovely blue. But there's something about warm blues that is more flexible, and you can use it in more sorts of interior design and more home decor than you can blues that are too cold. So I always like really warm blues. Okay, so again, I'm sorry about the light behind me. You're like, wow, it's like all brightly lit. Okay, so all the new stuff. Oh, and I was even going to give you a sneak peek chart of a new BitKit we're working on. Ooh, sneak peek. Okay, that one I don't even have in process yet, but the chart's really fun. So there's all the things that are new. Now, what I'd like to do is oh, wait, nope. I forgot one. Hang on. It's sitting right here and I totally forgot it. Okay, I just need to balance everything here. I'm gonna put my floss pins on the floor. I've shown this in the last couple of floss tubes in process. Well, I finally got my act together and got it framed. This is the new Kefalonia Carnations. Okay. Oh wow. I was a little worried that I had chosen the wrong colors until I framed it. And then I was like, it just sings. It just sings with just a simple little red mat. And this was not a super expensive frame. I got the frame and the mat are from AmericanFrame.com. I do all my own framing just because it's really not that hard. If you've never done it, like try it. It saves you like hundreds of dollars. And once I did this, I was like, oh my word, yes, I love this design. And so this design actually is a bunch of traditional borders, and they're all worked in the same color family. And on the pattern, what I've done is the DMC floss number is given for each one. Like, this is 349, and I think I have 347, and I have 355 and 815. But what I've also done is label them color 1, color 2, color 3, color 4, color 5, color 6, so that you can choose the color family of your choice and use the design. So if you wanted it to be in blues, you would choose 6 blue flosses. If you wanted it to be in more greens, you'd choose 6 green flosses. If you wanted it to be in golds and browns, you'd choose those. So you could very easily swap out a different color family if red is not your thing. But the red really makes the design pop. So this will be ready really soon, probably even next week, I think. I'm just waiting for Kristen to do the graphic design part of it, but the photos are taken. We're all ready to go. Very excited. So I'm kind of excited about this. And those of you who have heard me in the past when I'm like, I'm not crazy about frame textiles. I like my textiles like on tables and on things. Okay, I have to say I kind of have to eat my words on this one because this one actually turned out so great framed, and I just thought it was really cool. And if you like your embroidery, if you like your textiles on the walls, hang them on the walls. Put them wherever you want. Okay, so now that we've done all that, I'm going to, so that's all the new stuff, all the stuff in process. I'm going to spend the rest of our time kind of showing you how I use table runners and different things that I do to kind of create little tableaus on my dining room table. Now, when I have my kids around, and like when we homeschooled all year this year with like 2 other little kids, we had a tablecloth on the table all the time. So I'm really excited that I get to have my table out and put out my fancier runners and my fancier stuff right now. So I'm kind of enjoying that moment. So I thought we'd talk about that for the rest of this floss tube. Right now on the table, I have Athenian Diamonds, which is a really beautiful design. I did not stitch this. This is actually an embroidery from my collection of vintage embroideries. It's got a really neat starburst design, beautiful diamonds. It's a gradated, it almost has an ombre effect, really beautiful, and it has really cool hand knotted fringe. Awesome design. We released this as a pattern like January, February, and we also have it as a kit. And I was so excited when I got this one for my collection because it's actually stitched on traditional ground cloth. It's the exact same fabric that we're using in all of our kits. It was probably stitched maybe 30, maybe 40 years ago in Athens. So anyways, so this is a larger table runner, okay? This is kind of a no-brainer. Most of you know how to put a table runner on a table. But I want to show you a couple different things you can do. I kind of go for a more minimalist style. I know you're like looking at my drapes and my things and you're like, she's minimalist? I'm like, well, not really minimalist in the sense of mid-century modern, but I like to have my decor schemes very edited. I don't like a lot of stuff just to have stuff. I only will put something on if I really think it's beautiful. So for example, if I was, right now it's summer and I had a bunch of people over for the 4th. So I had people kind of in and out and around my house. And so I wanted something that sort of telegraphs summer. So I just happen to have lemons, and I put lemons in this bowl, okay? And that's one thing you can do. If you have fruit around, oh my word, fruit is like one of the best things you can put on a table runner just to make it sing. Oh, I even have like a footed pedestal bowl, and sometimes I'll put the footed pedestal bowl there and then like just stick a pineapple in it. Very sort of, ancient art vibe, but it looks really cool. A single pineapple, $3. Okay. $2.99 at Costco or Trader Joe's. So it's super cheap. Decorate with pineapples. They actually look awesome. They're in amazing shape. There's a reason why they're all over art history. You can put a pineapple there. I had artichokes in my garden. I grabbed artichokes. If you have zucchini, I mean, really pretty much any fruit or vegetable, just mound a bunch of it in a bowl and it looks beautiful. If you want to get even more precise, in fact, hang on, I'll show you, because my kitchen's right here. You can coordinate your fruit to your embroidery. So like, for example, if I really wanted this to sing, I would leave out the lemons and I would have done all nectarines because the nectarines like tie in. So if you're uncertain, take your embroidery, take your floss, walk around your kitchen. What have you got? You have tons of stuff in your kitchen that's basically just free decor waiting to happen. So fruit and veg are awesome centerpieces. Now, let's put the nectarines back. Okay, so that's one option. So I'm going to show you another option here with a different table runner. Now, if I want something that's a little bit more festive and I want to work in fresh flowers, here's the Anafi Diamanti. Now, this is a little bit smaller table runner, but it's white, and so it really makes a statement on the table because it's very high contrast. And then I would take just a simple glass jug. Okay, this glass jug is just a $5 jug. I got it at Home Goods, okay? It's not expensive. Now, and then I just filled it with flowers I had from my garden. Right now, I have hydrangeas and rosemary. That's what I used. And I'm actually, to be honest, I'm no good at flower arranging. Like textiles, yes. Flower arranging is a big no for me. I looked at a vase of flowers and I literally have a panic attack. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you put them in? I don't know. Totally freaks me out. My daughter is awesome at it. I have no skills when it comes to flower arranging. So I just sort of huck things in a vase. And that's my attempt at flower arranging. But you know what? It works most of the time. So you just huck a bunch of stuff in there. And like, I liked the fact that the spiky rosemary like worked with sort of the soft and broadleaf hydrangeas. So that worked. Now that's another really nice look. If you're going to do this, one tip I would give you is run the handle of your jug at an angle to the table runner. So, for example, I wouldn't put it like this with the jug handle, everything like so straight. I'd create just a little bit of movement by tipping that handle, okay? And you can find, oh my gosh, vases, glass vaseware is so easy and cheap to pick up at thrift stores and stuff like that. Like, for example, this is a Blanco vase. This is like green glass Blanco ware. You'll see this actually in a number of our photos. I think I got this for like 10 bucks at a vintage store. Blanco glass is usually done in really intense colors. It was done in like the 50s and 60s. And I just picked up another piece for like it was like 8 or 9 bucks at my local like salvage vintage place. So I'm always looking for colored glass as opposed to clear glass. I learned a long time ago that clear glass, I mean, there's times when it's nice. Okay, sure. There's times where you know you have a clear glass vase. Maybe it's a lead crystal vase that's very dear to you. But for the most part, clear glass never sings the way that colored glass does. So I tend to use colored glass. So that's one look. This is a very springy look. You'll notice that the blue hydrangeas, I know that it's really highly lit in here, so it's probably hard to see, but they totally pull out the blue that is in the peacock curtains behind them. So that's got like this really pretty energy going on. Now, another thing that you could do with this that would also look really beautiful, I'm going to go over here. You can see actually in this back of my corner of my dining room, I have an icon corner. That's actually really traditional for Greek Orthodox homes. You have your family's icons, your patron saints there, and then like your little prayer corner essentially is what it is. Like for example, I have just a very simple palm. I got it at Trader Joe's for inexpensive. I found the brass pot at a plant shop, and that would also look really beautiful, and it would last you longer than say the fresh flowers. If you can't, if your budget doesn't stretch to fresh flowers, oh, hi, Roxy's joining us today. If your budget doesn't stretch to fresh flowers, use plants. Oh boy, they're great because you can get, you know, months and months out of plants. So that's one more look. Here we suddenly kind of go tropical. Very cool. Okay, now let's move on to another look. Oh, actually, before we get rid of this one, here's another look. This is the Daphne design. Now, those of you who have seen it online, it's a small square design with little laurel leaves. And we can take that. If you're going to use a square in the middle of your table, put it diamond fashion. Don't set it like this. Like this, boring, okay? Turn it at a diamond like this. Creates a lot of energy and a lot of movement. Now for this, we could use all the same things we just used on the Anafi Diamanti. This creates a really nice This is nice. The small squares are great when you're actually like eating at the table every day, or you have like a bunch of little kids and you don't want spaghetti sauce on it, you know, and you want to kind of like have your nice textile a little bit more protected, then I would say you could do this, because then you could like pop down placemats or whatever. So the small squares are also really pretty. You can see too, the Blanco vase actually is what we have on the Daphne. That looks nice with it. If you don't have fresh flowers or a pot, just put a beautiful vase on there, something colored. Or if you really want to go all out, then do your picture of flowers. Same idea. Picture of flowers. And that looks really beautiful too. This color grouping together looks amazing. It's a little hard for you to tell on the screen, but it looks really great. So squares are great. And they don't have to be super big. You can kind of create height and interest by what you put on the square. So the square by itself is sort of like, oh, it's kind of sad. It's kind of lonely on the table. But the minute you put something of visual interest on the top of it, boom, now suddenly everything looks really beautiful and put together. Okay, so that's that one. Now I'm going to show you one more thing, and that is how to use a large square. So the ones that I'm showing you right now are really great for every day or when you want really little dressy. When you want to go all out, you can use a large square. This is the Byzantine rose border design. This is 3 feet by 3 feet. This one took me 9 months to stitch, so it's definitely a commitment, but boy, is it beautiful. It's still one of my very favorite embroideries that I've ever made. This is actually just stitched in the 355 red, the 310 black, on legacy linen sunflower seed. So it's got a bit of that weedy color. I wouldn't use this so much in the summer, but in the fall or winter, you can take a larger piece like this and you can put that diamond fashion, very dramatic on your table. Very beautiful. And if I was doing this in the fall or winter, I would add brass candlesticks. Just for a really kind of classic house look. You could also like add anything else you wanted. I'm just looking to see if I have anything else. Like, I don't have anything. Oh, yes, I do. If you wanted to go super drama, you could put a really gorgeous glass vase with the brass candlesticks and create this whole tableau. So you could do that. And this you could fill with like whatever. You could fill this with, you know, more wintry greens, that sort of a thing. And that would be very dramatic. That's sort of the Cadillac look though. I don't do that very often on my table just because we actually sit at the table and eat there. So, but you can do that. So, whoops, as I put the vase away, I hope that this has at least given you an idea of different things that you can do on your table. The one thing I would say about decor items is go with things that you love. If you like looking at it, you're going to like having it on your table. So if you like brass, go with brass. If you like silver instead, go with silver. Oh my word. The amount of silver candlesticks I've seen at vintage stores, they're super cheap. They're a couple bucks a piece. If you like fresh fruit, if you like living growing things, put plants and flowers and fruit on your table. Change it up through the seasons. But this is not something that takes like a lot of energy and time. I just sort of like every couple of weeks, like, you know, I switch it up. Like when I'm getting, you know, my house kind of just generally tidied, I'm like, oh, can I switch it up? I keep all of my linens in a buffet in my dining room so I can just quickly pull things out. More involved pieces, I have to get them out and iron them. But you know, it's worth it for me because I feel like every time we walk through this room, we have like this little tableau that we can look at, this beautiful thing that we can look at. And I feel like that is really the wonder of folk textiles, is that they are meant to be used and to be in our environments, giving us those little bursts of beauty, like just as we're walking around our house, you know, even just having a little textile on your desk or a little, you know, wall hanging or something. These are all ways to bring beauty into our everyday life. And that's really just the goal. So don't get too wrapped up in like whether you're doing it right or whether you're doing it wrong. Do what you think is beautiful and you'll do totally fine with that. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. You can find all of my stuff at www.avleaembroidery.life. You already found me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram at kristamwest. And you can also, if you're really enjoying this, if you're enjoying the videos, if you're enjoying the content that I'm creating, the best way you can thank me is to spread the word, to encourage people to sign up for the email newsletter at Avlea, to have them follow me on Instagram or subscribe to me on YouTube. Those things are actually all really, really helpful. As someone who is creating a lot of free content, those are all very, very helpful to me. So thank you again. It was a joy to hang out with you today.